This is basically flavoring cream cheese with the pumpkin pie filling, and technically that's what cheesecake is. It's just flavored cream cheese. If you do not have a mixer like this, I'm sure everybody here has a hand mixer, right? One of the little electric ones that I tend to throw stuff all over with, or drop the beaters in my soup like a few weeks ago. The longer you leave your cream cheese out, the faster and easier this will work, okay? It will not hurt your cream cheese to let it sit out for 2 hours. Not gonna make a problem, okay? If you leave it out all day, chances are I wouldn't eat it. But to help yourself out, just like they say soften butter, they say leave eggs out and they help come out of the container a little easier. This is one of those things where you can work with just the same way. Let it sit out for a little while, help soften it up. Makes it a whole lot easier on your mixer, your hand mixer, or your cabinets if you're using a hand mixer. Now we're just gonna turn this on gently, and I know every time I turn this on, you can't hear me talk, so I'll be quiet for a second. We just want to run that long enough to where it starts to beat it all apart. I'm going to lower it down, scrape the bowl back in. Make sure when you're scraping, you get that very bottom around the center of the bowl. It's almost impossible to get to come up, and it drives me crazy because it never ever comes apart easily. Okay, we're going to raise that back up, and we're going to add our pie filling. Again, I told you I made this recipe earlier, so I used half a can for that. The recipe does call for 1 small can. I knew I was going to make it twice, so I just got 1 big one. Now, once you add all this in there, this is a much more wet ingredient than what the cream cheese was. So I will warn you, if you turn the mixer on high, you're going to end up with more pumpkin on you than in your dish, I promise you. And to remind us of that, we're going to add our powdered sugar, because everybody knows don't put powdered sugar in there and turn it on high, and our cinnamon and nutmeg. Now with these two, I don't worry quite so much about when I add them, because this mixer is really going to help us out. We're just going to turn it on slowly and let it start to mix, and then as it starts to mix, then we'll turn it on high and let it beat the death out of it. Now you're going to have to scrape this a few times as you're doing it, because you're still going to end up with those chunks in the bottom and that solid bit of cream cheese around the edges. So make sure you scrape it back down. We'll try again. Same thing, make sure you start it out relatively slow and then work your way up as it starts spinning. And you'll notice as it gets more close to being ready, the lumps that are in it will start to break up more and it starts to lighten tremendously in color. How's that? Okay. As it's mixing again, just slowly start to increase your speeds. Okay, that's pretty well whipped. Now, again, better cream downstairs in the deli. Whipped cream works just the same. I just enjoy using this better cream. We're going to add that to it. And again, gently with that until it starts to mix down. It's very light, it's very airy, and it tends to throw it all over on you. Now we're just going to scrape it one more time and then finish mixing, and then we can start filling our shells. I don't know if you can see from overhead, it's really difficult, but as this keeps mixing, almost all of the lumps have now come out of this. And for those of you who don't believe me, I will be able to leave this one up here so you can see. We'll slide that back out of our way. Ready crusts. They're the neatest little individual thing you can buy downstairs. They work wonderfully. They're a fully prepared, ready to eat graham cracker pie shell. We might try that later. See if I have one or two laying around. My most favorite tool, pastry bags, disposable or regular, whichever you prefer using, or a Ziploc bag. Works the exact same way. Fill your Ziploc bag, cut the corner off. Just be slightly gentler. These are made of a little bit stronger plastic. Ziploc bags are a little easier. If you're going to use these, split your filling in the center, okay, and twist a little bit, and that gives you something that you can squeeze with. If you try and squeeze from the back, my hands are strong, I promise you, you will never, ever, ever get it all to come out, okay? So break it down in the center, and just slowly start to fill them, working your way up and around. And it's so simple. And it's so easy to not have to bake them or fuss with them or mix them or set them up. Get our whole tray filled. And then everything's always better with extra whipped cream. Now we have this because we're going to let you guys put it on that cold soup. But we can also go back through and just add it like regular Cool Whip. To each and every one of these.
Can you buy a smaller amount than a pound container?
You can buy it in any quantity you can imagine.
Because I was thinking,
I got a large quantity because I was going to use it for multiple things.
so you could buy
Our cake decorators downstairs have similar containers to this: 8 ounce, 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pound, 5 pound. So you can go as little as big as you want. They don't have to fill this for you. If you only want 4 ounces, they can only put in the very bottom. This stuff is whipped. I had 2 full containers. It was just about 2 pounds, okay? Doesn't take up much volume like a traditional icing does. If you were gonna have this container full of regular icing, it would be about 4 pounds of icing. Because that's such a lighter whipped item, it doesn't take up nearly the volume that something else would. Yes, any of the cakes downstairs, you'll see stickers. And the stickers will say non-dairy. They're bright pink stickers. That's what that is. There are a few cakes downstairs that it's actually a custom thing for. For instance, the coconut cakes. Anything that's got a coconut on it downstairs uses whipped icing. We have a chocolate whipped icing downstairs, which is the exact same product, it's just chocolate already added to it, which ends up working very nicely for those of you who want the chocolate but don't want that real rich, heavy icing. They work very simple, very quick. So you can see it didn't take but a few minutes to pipe all those out. I think I might have a phyllo cup hidden somewhere. If I do, we'll try it in those. It'll work just as well, but the graham cracker, with being slightly sweeter, tends to give a little bit different flavor.